The marriage is a sum result of the individuals that make it up. So if you have healthy and fulfilled individuals, then the marriage will be healthy and fulfilled. Exactly. If you have unhealthy and unfulfilled people in the marriage, then the marriage will be unhealthy and unfulfilled.
Right.
So I guess my encouragement to you is, if you are feeling that way in your marriage, is the first step for me was I had to deal with all of my stuff first. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. My name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined as always by my wifey.
I am Tanya Coleman.
I wasn't finished. My wifey
sorry.
To the righty. Never mind. That didn't. I thought it was going to rhyme, but go ahead. I'm Glenn Coleman, and
I'm Tanya Coleman.
And this is Marriage Matters. It's a podcast where we talk about relationships on multiple levels. You know, we talk a little bit about everything. Mm-hmm. So we're going to jump right into it. Well, let me ask you, how are you doing?
I am great.
You're looking good.
Thank you.
You're looking good.
You. I'm actually, you guys are going to watch this on Sunday, but today is Saturday. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about just kind of hanging out with you today. The girls have a job. They're going to babysit. So we're going to
make that money.
Yeah. Make that money, children. But we are going to have a little date while they go and do that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm ready to be outdoors a little bit and hang out. So.
All right, cool. Well, you know, we got these shirts. We had got them for our anniversary.
Yes.
And we just
for
never
our
wore
anniversary
them.
trip, actually, which we postponed to later in the summer.
Yeah, that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, we want to shout out
to Michelle Renee. Thank you so much for making these lovely shirts. I really, really love this shirt. I saw she had posted. She makes some really cool sayings on t-shirts. She's really
quotes.
Great with words, quotes, and things like that. So thank you, Michelle, for pushing these out for us. If you are looking for something different, you can reach out to Michelle Renee on Facebook, MICHELL Renee RENEE on Facebook.
So thanks so much for the shirts. We enjoy. You know, this is a stretch for me. You know.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
You don't do the matchy.
Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you a quick story. So growing up, and this is not two twinsies, but growing up. So I have a younger brother. What's up, Lynn? And since my name is Glenn, his name is actually my name is Glenneth. His name is Lenneth. Mm-hmm. We actually are named after my dad and his twin brother. So my dad is Glenneth Senior. I'm Glenneth Junior, and Lynn is named after Lenneth, my dad's twin brother. But growing up, so we're like 3 years apart, roughly about 3 years apart. But growing up, my mom bought all of our clothes alike. I'm talking shirt, shorts, socks, tennis shoes, even underwear, because we had the same Fruit of the Loom underwear. Haircuts were the same. We looked alike, or we still look alike.
Mm-hmm. You still look alike.
He's a lot thinner than me, but
and he shaved his head.
Yeah,
so you guys really look alike.
But so I have this thing about I do not like dressing like other people because for probably the first, I don't know. It was this thing. It was up to like 5th grade.
Oh, y'all were big kids.
You know what I'm saying? So just imagine going to school and your little brother.
Little may say she didn't have time to be picking out all this different stuff for y'all.
We could have did that. Anyway, so I have this phobia. I have this phobia about dressing like people. So that's why, you don't see, like Tanya and I, we very rarely do. This is probably the closest we're going to get to dressing alike.
And I purposely did 2 different color shirts. I did the hot pink for me. I love black, but I didn't want to push you too much.
So every now and again, she'll do like, if she'll buy a tie for me that kind of accents what she's wearing, but we're not going to wear the same color and all that because I need to go back to therapy. I need to bring that up in therapy about, I need to be an individual. Okay, anyway, but shout out to Michelle for the shirts.
Yes, thanks,
and if you
Michelle.
need some shirts, holla at your girl. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so today I want to talk about Our subject for today is longevity does not equal good.
Yeah.
And so this kind of sparked, so this past week, and we be telling y'all this, but we're not perfect.
Right.
But this past week we had what I would just call a disagreement.
That's a great word.
And the disagreement caused a reaction, from me. And it took me, I would say, about 2 days to get over this disagreement. Yeah. And so
I'm sorry. I feel like I got a unicorn horn or something going on up here.
Fix it, girl.
Okay.
Fix it, Jesus. So as I'm going through this, and I'm dealing with all of this, and I wouldn't say it was anger. It was more for me. It was disappointment, and not disappointment in Tanya, but more disappointment in myself, and dealing with all of that. And and I've talked about this before in the podcast. I am not good at being vulnerable. I'm becoming. Let me rephrase it. I'm becoming better at being vulnerable. I'm becoming better at expressing my thoughts and feelings, and processing them, right? But I'm not perfect, right? So it was 2 days. I don't know, maybe that's too long, but it's 2 days of processing. So eventually I told Tanya, and I told her, I said, okay, I'm ready to talk. And so we talked through everything that happened, everything that was said, and healing took place, or resolve and then healing.
Right.
But after we got through that process, I started thinking, I'm like, man, I really started thinking about people who don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
And how miserable a marriage could be if you were not allowed to, or you didn't have the tools to express how you felt. You didn't have the tools to say, or the
dialect, the words,
not the words, but the space, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's
to say how you feel, without. So in other words, I think a lot of times people don't do that because they know if they do that, then it's gonna put more added pressure and stress on the marriage. So they just don't. And I've talked about this before, being a peacekeeper versus a peacemaker, right? And I lived my life like that. It's like, I just want to keep the peace, so I'm not going to say anything. Right. But like I said, in me, there was no peace, right? So I was just like, man, there are a lot of people who maybe feel stuck in their marriage, and they can't, for whatever reason, I've heard people say, because, well, my religion doesn't allow for divorce. So I just gotta, I'm just gonna push through it.
Right. And I think you said the key word a moment ago, which are for me are tools. The tools to work through when you're having a disagreement or challenges or a hard time, or you feel even stuck. Some people feel, like you said, stuck in the marriage, and it may be that they haven't developed the tools to do what you and I did, to process emotion, to have a conversation, to come to a healthy resolve and to allow healing to take place. It's the to have the tools, I think, is super important to be able to go through that together as a couple. One person may be doing their work, but it's really hard to heal a hurt in a marriage when only one of us is doing the work. That really doesn't work because we're in it together, So I think you're right. Many people do struggle with the tools to be able to go through that process. Or they struggle with recognizing that there is an issue. You know what I mean? That this is something that we need to discuss further. I don't need to just agree for the sake of agreeing. Like, I need to be heard in this, and like you said, they don't feel the space to do that. There are a lot of different dynamics that, couples can find themselves in. And I think that us getting here, where we are now, because we've been doing what we've been doing, along our journey, I think is really healthy, for us. And I think that because we did spend a really long time not really saying or speaking honestly what was on our minds and our hearts for the sake of keeping the peace. I mean, you're not the only one who did that. I did that as well, which caused us not to address challenges or issues and things like that. And I feel like since we've started to do that and we've gathered and learned and are utilizing the tools that, we're growing, we're, even when we have conflict, we grow closer together instead of further apart,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that I know for me, I valued longevity.
Yeah, sure.
And in the words of Martin Luther King, he said that in one of his speeches. He's like, longevity has its place. But
and it does.
And it does. And when it comes to marriage, because when you think back, like I know my grandparents, they were married. Oh man, I don't know. Well, I know for sure my dad's parents were married over 50 years because I remember celebrating. They renewed their vows for their 50th anniversary.
Wow, that's amazing.
And when that happened, I was maybe 5 or 6. But I remembered it because I had my tuxedo.
Yeah.
I had a gold tuxedo. That's with the ruffles.
Gold tuxedo.
Yeah, it was a
Come
gold.
Come on in the room.
Know what I'm saying? The ruffles. So my mom has a picture of it. But anyway, so I know they were over 50. And I don't know about my mom and dad. I mean, my mom's mom and dad. I don't know how long they were married for. But anyway, I know it was a long time. They were married a long time. But my question, and you think back and you hear the stories, right? And I don't want to go into that, but it's like they valued longevity for whatever reason. Right. If it was maybe, I know for a lot of women back then growing up, they just...
It was limited resources.
Right. So it's like, I got 12 kids.
Right.
And I don't have
education, no formal education.
So it's like, I have to stay here, so I'm going to put up with this.
Right.
And I think like our parents' generation, they valued longevity, but I think that for me, from my cultural experience, was one of the first generations to say, you know what, I want to be happy. And so happiness became a premium over, or became more important to them than longevity, right? Which the previous generation, it was like longevity was, I think, was more important, but now it's like happiness. But I think that there is a way to have both.
Right. Yes. Because, and I was just having this conversation with someone else that happiness is based on what's happening. Right. In the moment. And so I think we have to go deeper than happiness. Not saying that anyone should be unhappy, but there is a deeper joy and fulfillment and purpose, that should be there in your marriage rather than just happy.
But even that, I say happiness, but I mean, that's what I mean, the fulfillment. People are saying, excuse me, I don't feel, ooh.
You okay?
Yeah. I guess the baby, I had too much coffee. I had to burp myself. I don't know. Anyway, but they're like, I'm not fulfilled. And it's more important for me to be fulfilled than to be in this marriage. And if I can't find fulfillment in this marriage, then I don't want or I don't have to be. And I think that's why, we see the divorce rate, where it is today. But here's what I want to let you know is I believe that if you're looking for fulfillment in your marriage, then you're looking in the wrong place. Marriage was never or is not designed to fulfill you. And we say, you've heard us talk about this before, and we teach this in our premarital classes. It's the principle of 1 × 1 = 1. A marriage is one whole person coming together with one whole person to equal one whole marriage. But anytime if you have a half person, 1 times a half is a half. So the marriage is a sum result of the individuals that make it up. So if you have healthy and fulfilled individuals, then the marriage will be healthy and fulfilled.
Exactly.
If you have unhealthy and unfulfilled people in the marriage, then the marriage will be unhealthy and unfulfilled.
Right.
So I guess my encouragement to you is, if you are feeling that way in your marriage, is the first step for me was I had to deal with all of my stuff first.
Yeah.
I had to deal with my insecurities first. I had to deal with my inadequacies first. The way I had to deal with my personal self-image first, you know, and, you know, it's like, you know, when you're on the plane, which hadn't been on one in over a year,
at least,
you know, thanks COVID. But, you know, they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first. And that's not being selfish. That's not being selfish.
No.
That's really, when you do that, you are, when I'm fulfilled and I make sure that my life is full, then I am thinking of Tanya, because now I can be a better husband. I can be a better father, all of those things. So, yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's where, you know, that when I talk about fulfillment, it's exactly that, you know, that I am first, my cup is full, you know, first. And so when my cup is full, then I can do my part in helping to fill or add to your cup, if that makes sense.
That's what it's like. Hey, live it in the overflow, right?
Living in the overflow.
Hey, glory. So that's a good analogy. When your cup overflows and I'm next to you, because I'm close to you and I'm in the marriage with you, the substance, so if it's overflowing, let me say joy. That joy overflows into my life. All those things. Confidence, that confidence overflows into my life. Peace, that peace overflows into my life. And that's how you make each other better. That's how you create synergy in marriage, is you make sure that you're full, and then you can fill the lives of others, those closest to you.
You know, I pulled up the post that I made the other day on our page. On
the Marriage Matters page.
The Marriage Matters page, yes. And it said, if only every day looked like this. And there are pictures of us like just really having a good time at a photo shoot. But we are all imperfect people. We're all imperfect human beings and need much grace. Perfect days are the result of work put in to heal imperfect moments of this journey of oneness. And that's the part that I think people often miss, is the work. And I wouldn't say that they don't necessarily want to do the work, but they don't have the tools to do the work. You know, I don't think that there is a person, I could be wrong, that gets married to get divorced.
Right.
I don't think that that's the goal.
Right.
But if we don't have the tools to work through what we need to work through individually and together, then that's the only option that I see. Either stay in this thing and be miserable, or
I'm sorry,
exit. What?
I'm just thinking about the moment.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm coming back. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
You need to spank him.
Okay. What were you saying?
So anyway, people having the
Go ahead.
Having the tools to work through those issues.
Yeah, let me drink some coffee. Go ahead.
So as you drink your coffee. But yeah, it's important to gather and to get the tools. Oftentimes, if, you know, people don't have the tools, what they're lacking in is resources. And getting the information or getting the help that they need. Sometimes pride gets in the way of that, you know, that I don't want to tell people my business. I don't, you know, we shouldn't have to talk to somebody else. We need to work this out ourselves. Well, if you've never seen it worked out before, how are you going to know how to work it out?
Hello.
You know, we have to get free from that, free from embarrassment, free from feeling judged about everything. You know, that's why a lot of us with our opinions, sometimes you just need to keep to yourself, because it, you know, it keeps people bound. You know, they don't feel the liberty to reach out, you know?
And I think too, it's not just that, not keeping it to yourself, but understanding that I heard somebody say that opinions are like, how does it go? Opinions are like noses. Everybody has one, and they tend to have a couple of holes in them. You know, but
Amen.
but my point is, because it's your opinion, that doesn't mean
that it's
that's
right
your
for
opinion.
everyone.
Right,
it's
and
right
we
for
have
you,
to get
but
to
it
the
may not
place.
be right for everyone.
We have to get to the place that when, just because I think differently doesn't mean that I can't be. We can't be in a relationship.
Right, exactly. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that is.
For a whole lot
I'm
of things.
I'm getting off. I apologize. My bad. I'm getting.
But I was just saying, we have to take the stigma off of people seeking the help that they need.
Yeah.
People feel so ashamed and so embarrassed to even need help that they won't reach out for help.
Mm-hmm. And I have a really, just came to me, a really great analogy, and I've used this before, but talking about longevity, if something's going to live for a long time. So for instance, I know I've had vehicles before, and I tend to keep vehicles for a long time just because I like keeping my money in my pocket. And if I don't have to have a car note, right. I don't want a car note. But one thing about the vehicles that I've had, and actually I had the opportunity we had the opportunity to give a vehicle to someone, and he was telling me, what they were saying, that when they brought the vehicle somewhere to get it serviced, and they were like, what year is this, and how, and he was like, ma'am, someone gave me this, but he's like, man, they took really good care of it. But my point is this: the reason why that vehicle lasted so long, and when we got it, it was used,
right.
But the reason it lasted so long was because every 3,000 miles we got the oil changed. We always put new tires on it. We would rotate the tires. We would take the vehicle in to get it serviced based on the manufacturer's recommendation. We had, and I still to this day, I have a personal mechanic, someone who I trust, and someone who I know is not gonna drive you blind. Yeah, tell me I need a new carburetor, which I don't think cars use carburetors anymore, but a new whatever, and I don't. And I bring that whenever there's an issue, whenever that check engine light comes on, typically if you bring the vehicle to a mechanic when the check engine light comes on, then if you catch the problem early enough, then you can fix the problem. But in my experience, if you ignore the check engine light and you keep driving it and the problem gets worse and it gets worse, and before you know it, you need a new engine.
Right.
And they say, well, you know what? It's the car. It'll cost more to get a new engine than it was good. You might as well just get a new car. And I think that's how we treat our marriages. When first we have to learn what the check engine lights are. You got to learn those things and know that. We had did this promo for one of the marriage classes that we do, and we talked about the maintenance. Home maintenance. We do maintenance on our homes. Every few months we have somebody come out to spray, to check for termites, to do all these things. Like I said, with the car, we do car maintenance. We maintain our bodies. If you start to feel, and the same thing with our bodies. Right. If you feel a little something, he's like, I don't want to go to the doctor because I'm scared of what it's going to be. Well, if you go early enough, then maybe they could catch it. I'm saying all to say this. It's the same thing with our marriages. So if we want just like we want our vehicles to last long, just like we want our houses to last long, just like we want our bodies to last long, if we want our marriages to last long, you have to do routine maintenance. Exactly. You have to do the things. Exactly. There were things that are required. And like you said, if you don't know what those things are, get help. Yep. Go and find someone who I recommend going to a therapist. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think these people are professionally trained, like this lady sitting next to me, to help you process through your problems, or a life coach, or someone, even if it's
marriage coaches,
even if it's a couple. even if it's a couple that you know and respect, and you've seen the fruits of their marriage.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, go start, at least start there.
Yeah.
You know, but don't just sit and you know that you're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you guys hadn't talked in like 2 days. So those are all those the check engine lights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to bring it to your trusted mechanic.
Yeah, that's good. Bring it to your trusted mechanic. And I'll say this about seeking help. You know, if you're not going to go with a professional person, a licensed professional person or certified coach or someone like that, make sure that the person or people that you go to, you know, we have qualifiers that they love God. They love the both of us, and they are for our marriage. They're not going to give you one-sided information or opinions and things like that. You know, you have to be very mindful, very discerning about who you take your marriage challenges or issues before, you know, because you may have someone that may say, well, you just need to leave him. No, you know, that's not their job to tell you that you need to do that, you know. So you want to make sure that you find people who are in support of the marriage. And if you guys decide down the road that you don't want to stay married, let that be your decision and not someone else's decision.
So I guess our encouragement to you today is you know, don't just settle for longevity, and don't just settle for fulfillment or happiness. You can have both. And we are witnesses that the longer that you stay, or the longer you stay in the relationship, the more opportunity for disagreements to come up.
Absolutely.
But here's the deal: the longer you stay together, the better you become at working through
the disagreements.
those. So it's like, it took me 2 days. That's great from a week, right?
And you talked. We did not talk.
Right.
You had your little thing going on, and I felt it.
So let me ask you, and we'll end on this. So how was that for you? How did I
process when you were going through your process?
Yeah.
I knew that you were processing. I did my best to let you know that, hey, I'm here, you know, I'm not upset, you know, and just kind of waited it out, you know. But I knew, I know, because we've been married for 20 years. Yeah. So I know you like to snuggle, and when you're not snuggling at night, I'm like, oh, okay, he's feeling some kind of way.
You told me there was the second night. I said, well, I did snuggle with you, but what did you say?
Oh, your body was so tense.
It's like, I'm gonna snuggle, but I don't like it.
Right.
But
I'm gonna snuggle and not enjoy it. How about that?
But so that's good. And for me is to know that I know I don't like feeling that way. So I know that in order for me to get past this, then we're gonna have to talk about
right. And so I want to just real quick say this. So although you were feeling the way that you felt, and you were going through your process the way that you do, and I know you, so I knew that you were going through that process, that did not stop me from being wife. You know what I mean? I didn't pull back from being wife. Everything that I always do, I did. And I let you have your moment.
And I think I did the same. Did I do the same?
Yeah, you did.
I still was husband.
You did. You really did. And so I want to say that to people that, you know, we often tell couples that, you know what, his behavior, that's not my business. My behavior is not his business, right? My behavior is my business. His behavior is his business, right? And we both have to stay before the Father, which brings us back to ourselves to get us through those moments. And so for people who are struggling and maybe you're thinking about divorce, stop looking at your spouse and what they have done, what they are doing, and look inwardly at yourself. What have I done? What am I doing? How can I manage or handle this differently? You know, and try to build a bridge of communication to where you can at least agree to say, you know what? we may need to get some help on this. We can't keep doing this the way that we've been doing it. So definitely not advocates of divorce. I believe that most things can be healed in marriage, but sometimes you need assistance through that process. So,
ask for help. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I'll say, in closing, kind of to piggyback off what you said, that I've learned that there's nothing that you can do to change anyone else. The only person that you have control over to change is myself. And even when it comes to, I've learned this, even when it comes to my kids, we try to, why don't they just do this? And I learned that I can't not change.
Can't force their hand.
I can't. So what has to happen is I have to change my approach. And the thing about that, and it comes out a lot more with the kids, but the thing about the reason why we don't want to do that is because then that requires me to change.
Right.
I have to do some work for myself. And I'm not saying I'm letting my kids do whatever they want, but I'm just saying in my approach to parent them, and what makes it even more, shout out to people who have more than two, because we have two, and they are polar opposites. And it's so I have to, when I'm dealing with one, I have to deal with them this way. When I'm dealing with this one, I have to deal with this. When I'm dealing with her, I got to deal with her this way. So if you got 10 kids,
your jewels and your crowns,
man, you have a special place in heaven.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just remember that it's me. When I change, and not only this, when I change, it's the way I see the situation changes. The way I see my wife changes. The way I see is even in that action. When we had that disagreement, when I really began to think about it, I started to look at it from your perspective and understand why you felt the way you felt. And that even helped me to say, okay,
same.
If you want to get past this, then there's some things that you can do to make this better.
Right.
So I change.
Yeah.
I change.
That's good.
And then if she has that same mindset, and again, we are now becoming whole, and so now the marriage automatically. See, a lot of times people want to work on the marriage. I say work on you.
Yeah, take the mirror. And
if you work on you, then the marriage will take care of itself.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up right here. So hopefully you get something out of this. This is hubby and wifey, Glenn
and Tanya,
saying your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.